Greetings fellow Whovians and welcome to Timey Wimey Review. Cliffhangers are synonymous to Doctor Who. They are an integral part to the show, just like the Doctor and the TARDIS itself. And with nearly 60 years of Doctor Who, there have been some absolute classic cliffhangers and not so quite classic cliffhangers. So please hit the subscribe button as I talk through some of the best and worst Doctor Who cliffhangers. Let's start with the very first cliffhanger that launched it all, way back in 1963, in the ending of part 1 of An Unearthly Child, where the Doctor pretty much kidnapped Susan's teachers, Ian and Barbara, after they revealed that the Doctor and Susan, the Doctor's granddaughter, that they are aliens from another dimension, another world. So off the TARDIS goes and lands in another part of time where all we see is this desolate world as the TARDIS appears, and then this shadowy figure looming over the TARDIS. I know there are quite a lot of Whovians out there that have only just watched the modern series of Doctor Who and not really delved into the classics. So even if you don't follow the full story of An Unearthly Child, please go and watch at least this very first episode of Doctor Who, because it is just 30 minutes of just classic 60s British TV drama and just really sets up the characters and the reveal of the Doctor and Susan, and then obviously the journey that launched it all. It is just a fantastic piece of drama with this great cliffhanger. It's a good cliffhanger. Let's jump to the first Doctor's next story, which introduces us to the Doctor's most iconic villains, the Daleks, where we see Barbara trapped in a corridor, and as she turns around, she just sees the plunger coming towards her, and she just it fades to black with this horrific scream from Barbara, leaving you to know what is going to happen next. What did Barbara see? Because all we see is this sink plunger. The way I just told it probably sounds absolutely rubbish, but go back and watch it, because again, in that black and white era, you turn the lights down and just see it in motion. It just works. It just absolutely works. It shouldn't do, but it does. And obviously it had a lot of talking points, especially in the playgrounds. What is this monster? What did Barbara see? And then obviously we go into episode 2 and we see the Daleks in all its glory, disabling Ian with their iconic mechanical voices. But the cliffhanger for the Daleks, it's a good cliffhanger. Let's fast forward to another Dalek story, this one from the Third Doctor era, Death to the Daleks. Now, if you haven't seen this 4-part adventure before, it's quite a camp romp of an adventure. It is quite fun, but yeah, bit of an oddball, this one, especially the cliffhanger to part 3. Basically, the Doctor and one of the aliens from the one of the Exelons, they are going through this city, which is draining the Doctor and the human spaceship and the Daleks of all their energy, and they're just having to just go through the city to try and basically stop it and, well, to quote John Pertwee, reverse the polarity. So the Doctor and his alien friend, they are going through the city, going through some various mental tests, and the ending to part 3 is basically the Doctor shouting out, "Stop, don't move," and the next shot is a square, a hopscotch square of doom. From what I've heard, and I'm not sure whether this is true or not, this was not supposed to have been the original cliffhanger to part 3 of Death to the Daleks, but they didn't have anything else, apparently. So yeah, you just end with just basically this red and white hopscotch weird square, and literally in part 4, the Doctor and Bellel, I think his name is, they're having to play hopscotch to get across, otherwise they get electrocuted. So yeah, it's just a very random cliffhanger to end on, really. This, come back next Saturday, see how the Doctor and his alien friend deal with this bit of tiled flooring. Yeah, it adds, it kind of gets away with it in a sense, because like I said, it's a camp rompy adventure, but in terms of classic cliffhangers, this is a bad cliffhanger. And I'm sure many of you will be thinking best and worst cliffhangers, and many of you will be jumping on the cliffhanger to part 1 of the 7th Doctor adventure, Dragonfire. where literally the Doctor is hanging off a cliff. Yes, that's right. The Doctor goes over the railings, grabs onto his umbrella, and then just starts sliding down, gripping onto it tight, and, basically going to plunge to death by his own doing. It was. It's mad. I know script editor at the time, Andrew Cartmel, he tried to explain what the actual cliffhanger was going to be, where basically the Doctor needs to go down the cliff to get to the other side to where he needs to be. He needs to go down and then go back up. But what we saw on screen just didn't happen at all. The ending to part 1 of Dragonfire has the reputation of being one of the worst cliffhangers in the history of Doctor Who, and I have to agree, it's a bad cliffhanger. But let's see what the modern era of Doctor Who has to offer, with the cliffhanger for Series 1, the first cliffhanger of Series 1, I should say, with that being of Aliens of London, where Rose, the Doctor, and Jackie Tyler, they've all been trapped separately with the big reveal of the Slovene. If you remember, they do the weird unzipping from their human form to reveal themselves as this massive green alien that farts, the Slovene. Say what you will about the two-part adventure and about the Slovenes. I know there are fans of them, and there's equally not so fans of these farting aliens. But the execution for this cliffhanger was really well made, especially if you're thinking about children that first watched Doctor Who back in 2005, not really knowing what the show's about, and then having this very first cliffhanger. Like I said, I think it was pretty well executed, with the just unzipping the skin and showing how massive these aliens are. I think there was quite a few younger children that probably didn't want to go to bed that night. I thought it was a pretty well, like I said, well executed cliffhanger. And obviously the extra part of that is the Doctor and all the military men that was in that boardroom meeting, all having that pass around their necks. And I can't remember, like the acting prime minister saying that this will help you identify the bodies, and electrocuting everyone. Yeah, like I said, it was a pretty good start of some fantastic cliffhangers in modern Doctor Who. This is a good cliffhanger. However, let's talk about the cliffhanger for the penultimate episode of Series 1 of Modern Doctor Who, Bad Wolf, where we get to see a brand new Dalek army. 500,000 Daleks are just about to descend on a futuristic Earth, and the Doctor says no. Daleks has Rose Tyler captive, and they want the Doctor and all the rest of the crew, including Captain Jack Harkness on Satellite 5, to surrender, and the Doctor says no. B basically wants to rescue Rose Tyler, save the Earth, and then wipe out every last stinking Dalek out of the sky. And the Daleks' reaction to this is classic. They just, what do you mean? What's the meaning of this negative? And then obviously the Daleks are like, but you haven't got any weapons, you got no plan. And the Doctor's like, yep, and that's going to scare you to death. Rose Tyler, I'm coming to get you. And the Daleks are on battle station panic mode, and they sort of ramp up their invasion, their attack, and then you just see thousands of Daleks all chanting exterminate, as we cut to, oh my god, we can't wait till next week. And yeah, Christopher Eccleston, he sells it so much with him fearing the Daleks. We saw that in Dalek as well, with just one Dalek, but then obviously we got now 500,000 Daleks, and yeah, he just really did nail the fear of the Daleks after all they've been through in the Time War. Just kind of little snippets of what we was told in the first series of Modern Doctor Who, and then obviously he's still got this fake bravado going off, but equally the Daleks are fearful for the Doctor after that reaction of him saying no. Obviously they go into battle stations, and yeah, it's just a great cliffhanger. The only sort of nitpick I would have had was at the next time, when there's doing the next time to Bad Wolf, you do see the Daleks, and I wish they kind of held off that really, and just really gone for that big full reveal. Because I remember watching it with a friend who never saw Doctor Who before, and I purposely skipped the next time bit just to see a raw reaction to it, and she was like, oh my gosh, it's the Daleks. The Daleks are back. How? How can the Daleks be back when that one got destroyed in Dalek? How? So I wish they kind of held off of that. If they really wanted to sort of put some bums on seats for the hardcore Doctor Who fans, they could have maybe just shown the Dalek ship, and then sort of like, you know, the sort of hardcore fans are like, oh, that looks very familiar. But for the sort of newer audiences, you still got that element of surprise. But nevertheless, this goes down as one of the best cliffhangers in Doctor Who. It's a good cliffhanger. So that is just some of the best and worst Doctor Who cliffhangers. I know there are many more out there, but please hit the like button. If you've really enjoyed this video and you want me to do some more, please let me know in the comments below. Do you agree with my good or bad choices of the cliffhangers that I talked about so far? And what has been your favourite or least favourite cliffhanger in the entire history of Doctor Who? Next time on Timey Wimey Review, I'll be reviewing the Fourth Doctor's final story, Logopolis. Until then, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've really enjoyed this, because I've enjoyed talking about these best and worst cliffhangers, and I would love to do another video of this sometime in the future. But for now, please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that cloister bell for more notifications. But as the good doctor once said, everything's got to end sometime, otherwise nothing will ever get started.